into a castle. When she was done, she picked up her shovel and began carefully digging a moat around the castle. But when the moat was about 6 inches deep, it began to fill up with water, and its sides began to cave in. The little girl watched in fascination as her sandcastle crumbled away. When it was gone, she started another one. The sun drifted slowly across the sky, but the little girl didn't notice. She was surrounded now by the ruins of 5 sandcastles and was starting to build another one when she felt something brush against her. It was a kitten, its tail sticking straight up in the air, its gray fur matted with sand. It mewed softly, then sat down in the sand, staring up at her with large, curious yellow eyes. The little girl reached out to touch the kitten, but it backed quickly away. "Kitty," the little girl said softly. Then again, "Kitty." Her sandcastles forgotten, she pulled herself to her feet and took an uncertain step toward the kitten. It was then that she saw the little boy standing a few yards away, frowning deeply as he stared at her. She looked back at him, then grinned and plumped back down onto the sand. The little boy giggled and came closer. The kitten, 3 feet away now, sat back down on the sand and wrapped its tail around its legs. As the sun continued its slow course across the sky, the 2 children sat in the sand looking at each other, giggling happily as each of them mimicked the other's movements, with the kitten sitting a few feet away, watching them both. Then, mewing softly, the kitten stood up, stretched elaborately, and darted away across the beach. "Kitty!" the little boy exclaimed. Pushing himself to his feet, he started after the tiny cat, the little girl apparently forgotten. The girl sat where she was for a few seconds, then turned around and stared solemnly at the blanket on which her mother was sitting. Her mother was looking the other way, talking to a man the little girl didn't recognize. The little girl scrambled to her feet and started after the boy and the kitten, her bucket and shovel as well as her sandcastles completely forgotten. She had to hurry to catch up with the little boy, but she knew that if she called to him, her mother might hear and stop her, so she stumbled along as fast as she could, tumbling down every few steps, then scrambling back to her feet and hurrying forward once again. Every few steps she felt her shorts slipping down over her bottom and reached down to pull them up again. But when the little boy kept getting farther and farther ahead, she finally abandoned the shorts altogether, leaving them in a heap on the sand. The slope of the beach got steeper, and the little girl found her feet sliding out from under her with almost every step. But there was dune grass here, and she could use that to pull herself along. When she finally got to the top of the slope, the little boy was standing by himself, the thumb of his right hand poked securely into his mouth, while his eyes, wide set and round, stared at the kitten. The kitten was sitting next to what the girl knew was the bad place. She wasn't sure why it was the bad place, but dimly she remembered her mother bringing her here once and pointing to the place, then spanking her while she repeated the word. "No, no, no, no. Do you understand?" Between the word and the angry sound of her mother's voice and the stinging on her bottom, she understood. She stopped uncertainly and instinctively looked back, but all she could see was grass. After a moment, the little boy saw her, and his thumb suddenly popped out of his mouth. He pointed at the kitten and giggled happily. Then he started walking toward the bad place, holding his own shorts up with his left hand as his right thumb went back into his mouth. The little girl hesitated, then followed. The slope dropped away, and in a few seconds the little girl caught up with the little boy. He stopped walking and turned to stare at her, but didn't say anything. Instead, his eyes watched her gravely. She reached out and put her hand in his. Then, following the skittering kitten, the 2 of them started toward the bad place. Suddenly, there was no more of the warm, dry sand that felt so good between her toes. Instead, there was an icky, sticky feeling, and she could feel something cold oozing around her feet. She stopped and looked down. Mud. Thick and black, it squished around her feet, and there was an odor about it that made her wrinkle her nose and make a face. But the kitten didn't seem to notice it at all, and neither did the little boy. The little girl took another step,